trust and transparency. Faster sales, more deals, real-time accurate data. Build or grow your MLS and let Universal Consulting Opportunities, a proud subsidiary of Stellar MLS, help you. Need expert advice on setting up an MLS in your region? We're the experts you need. Wondering how to gain buy-in from real estate professionals and consumers? We'll work with you on your go-to-market strategy. With Universal Consulting Opportunities, you gain a trusted partner dedicated to your success. Let us pave the way for your future growth and excellence. We specialize in meeting your unique needs wherever you are in your MLS journey. We're Universal Consulting Opportunities, and we're for you.
Buongiorno. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? How was yesterday? Great. Had some great panels yesterday. I was talking to people in the audience yesterday, and they were like exceeded expectations. And for the people who were here last year in Paris, really tremendously huge step up. It's been a great event already, and it's going to get better today, I think. I want to quickly thank again CEPI, Gizo, and Realty now for organizing this event. It's really unique in many ways, and they've done a fantastic job together to put this together. It's come a long way from last year. Stellar MLS is also honored, of course, to be a title partner and sponsor here, and in extension, our subsidiary UCO, for which you just saw the spotlight video. Marion and I will be guiding you through today, and I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Mathew. I grew up not too far from here in Austria, Vienna. You may have recognized some similarities with the second most famous Austrian, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I guarantee you I'm not related to him, just so you know. So don't ask me for his number. And I'm also the VP of Technology and Innovation at Stellar MLS, and also the VP of Global Markets for UCO. I live in Canada at the moment, but I work for Stellar MLS. Together with my colleague here, Marion, we'll be answering the call a lot of times from the industry. Since Paris, we have a lot of entities that come to us and ask us for help to get educated, to understand what it takes to set up an MLS. Bit more so after Austria, really. I studied in the UK, spent some time there. I was fortunate enough to also having been able to work in Japan for 2 years, and as a technology consultant, as a scientist, and then somehow the real estate industry caught me and hasn't let me go yet, so still hanging in there. And let me pass on to Marion, my colleague, and she'll take you through the rest of the day here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Everyone awake? I'm Marion Weiler, and I'm honored to be here today, as Mathew was mentioning, moderating the day and guiding you through the day. I am the VP of Marketing and Communications for Stellar MLS, and I am also the VP of Global Markets for our subsidiary UCO, or Universal Consulting Opportunities. Maybe just a little bit about me, and actually it feels so much like home being here in Europe. I was born and raised in Germany. I've lived half of my life in Europe and the other half in the United States. And It's always such a warm welcome coming here, and we have 51 countries, so I think that really deserves a round of applause. I worked within real estate for the past 15 plus years, and that across the United States. Before Stellar, I was actually on the brokerage side, so I've seen the real estate from a number of different angles, from new development to brokerage, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker, residential realty, different areas of the United States, but I also work within global brands, BMW and IBM, namely, and I help them with Germany to the US and US to Germany, obviously IBM being a US brand and BMW being a German brand. And during my career, I've had the opportunity to find new ways to reinvent how a business or an industry operates. And similarly, I feel that there is a big opportunity that we have here for us to work through the change and figure out a solution. And that solution, I feel, can really elevate us on a global level. And even in the biggest and most successful brands, or seemingly most successful brands, you're seeing that there are sometimes roadblocks that are due to these global differences. And I've seen that firsthand when I was working with BMW, who at the time made little cup holders for the US market that could never fit a drink that you get anywhere here in any of the convenience stores. Or the other way around, where Walmart tried to get Germans to say welcome to Walmart, that miserably failed as well. They learned the hard way, and so I think there's things to be said where you have to look at the brands and where you are and how the cultures and everything operates. But coming to what stood out to me yesterday, because we did have amazing sessions yesterday, and we heard about the vision of ultimately having a global MLS, while other panels talked about how every region has their unique needs and has to be customized to those particular needs. And that begs the question, how can those two notions, global and local, coexist? And I do believe that it's not all black and white. It's important to find a way to distinguish what can and perhaps even should be centralized. For example, certain programs like CEPI introduced the certification program, and then also education that can be deployed more generally. And as leaders, the question is, what fits into the bucket of standardized versus centralized initiatives and localized efforts? So I'd like you to start thinking about how can these two coexist and how can they come together, and how do you perhaps have opportunity to learn from others certain things that apply to your market and then others that might need to be customized and localized. And on the localized front, Sonia and Ernest, actually among others, made some valid points to go one by one and to learn languages and understand each unique culture and the local market conditions. And we at UCO have had many conversations actually with some of you here in the room, and we know that everyone is at a different stage and has a very unique setup. And for us at Stellar and at UCO, it's very important to meet you where you are at so that we can identify a solution that moves you to the next stage of creating an MLS ecosystem or marketplace. And in my focus of marketing and branding professionally, we look at where in the process the brand is. For example, is there awareness already created? What is the perception? Is there already buy-in, or does it require a shift? Is there a certain need or already a want that is broadly acknowledged? Because that is going to make it a lot easier if you have a perceived need and a want already in your marketplace. And then from there, we find solutions. And what's also important is to focus on the benefits versus the feature. as people resonate with what they relate to and what actually provides value to them. So, and on that front, there's education that needs to happen to achieve exactly that. And speaking of education, we started the process with CEPI to create a series of webinars because we realized that there was so much confusion around what is an MLS, what is an MLS not, what are the benefits of it. Some were misperceived in the belief that portals and MLSs is the same thing. And so in terms of those benefits, we do know that research actually shows that there are more sales, faster sales, and higher sales prices, so it is for sure worth exploring. And with that, let's cover a few reminders before we get started today. There is a raffle prize outside at the Stellar booth here, so if you haven't already, please drop your business card, and we will do the raffle later today. There's also the QR code on the panels that you saw from yesterday that Joe mentioned. So when you scan this PR code, you will get to social media and you can ask your questions. The moderators are there to answer questions. So take advantage of that and get your questions answered. There's also a gala tonight, and that is going to be, I believe, a very, very amazing event that the team here has put together. So 8 o'clock here, please be back. And then lastly, what Joe called the most important news is the global standards password for Wi-Fi. And with that, we're ready to kick off another great day of valuable sessions. Mathew, do you want to come back and tell us a little bit about the sessions? Okay, thank you. Yes. Capital G, capital S, global standards. We don't want anyone without Wi-Fi, but please don't stick on your phones.
It's like housing, it's a fundamental right, so you should have it. So we have a great few sessions actually coming up, starting with kind of the journey of pioneers, so people who have actually done the first step of introducing an MLS or an MLS-like system and concept in their own regions. So, and I'm fortunate to moderate that one, so I'm looking forward to that one. There is MLS and emerging technologies, so we're getting into the AI space, of course. Expanding horizons, so that's to do with cross-border transactions. Naturally, we're at an international MLS conference, and it makes a lot of sense to think about how that could work across borders. Sam will then also go into business models, so there's different ways to skin this cat, and give some insights into that. You also know that there is a certain relationship with MLSs and portals that are different in North America than it is elsewhere, and we have a panel around that as well coming up. A very great and really amazing fireside chat also with Sam that we're looking forward to. MLS of the future, that'll be really like thinking about how can the future look like. We're in a transitionary stage, especially when it comes to technology, and what does it mean for us? And then all the way to charting new territories and expanding the concept as the last panel. So without further ado, I'd like to get started with the first session and invite my panelists over. Quick round of applause.
Morning. Is it here?
Yeah.
I'm sporting the wet look this morning.
All right. Is everybody enjoying the weather today? Love it, right? So, welcome panelists. I'm very honored to be on stage with you all. So, We're going to start off with a very quick introduction. You can introduce yourself, what you do, how you're related to MLS, and starting with Carlos.
So I've been in the MLS business for about 30 years, technology, and I run currently 2 companies. One is geared for back-end services, advanced back-end services, moving away from relational databases to be more responsive to our customers, integrating AI and the latest technologies as part of the back-end, and the other company is front-end functionality for brokers and MLSs, integrating other stakeholders to have access to the transaction. So it's been busy.
That's quite the technical way to describe what you do. So you have a business in the United States, and you have a business, or part of a business, I guess, in the Czech Republic, which is Igloo, which you've heard yesterday about, right?
Yes.
And so similar things, very different implementations, and we'll talk about this a little bit of how that looks like. So awesome. Sorin.
Hello, good morning. I'm Sorin Udrea. I'm from Romania. I am a realtor. I've been a real estate broker since year 2000, so for quite a while. And I also founded and I'm the general manager of MLS Leader. It's an MLS service based in Romania, Bucharest, and some other cities. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. And Ahmed?
American, Ahmed Elbatrawy, Egyptian, Ahmed Elbatrawy. So for the Arab countries, Ahmed. In America, for 37 years, Ahmed. I'm the founder of Arab MLS. We are a Delaware company. I lived in America my whole life. Work in real estate. Funded Arab MLS that today we have an actively MLS in Egypt, a governmental platform. We have Dubai been launched today under the endorsement of the Dubai Land Department. We endorsed by the Dubai Land Department. We have expansion in a lot of countries coming in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna have some news, and you know, I was thinking about building the multiple listing service for the last 15 years. I always ask myself one question. I was like, why wouldn't have an MLS at the Middle East? So 3 years ago, I decided to build an MLS. So that's all.
Thank you. That's great. So one of the reasons for this panel is, yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about that MLS is good as a concept, right? And I think we all agree it's good. This is about how to get started, especially if you don't have anything set up in your country, and if you're looking at as an association, whatever kind of entity you may be. This is about how these pioneers have done it, how they took their time in some cases, but what challenges they faced. So really like digging deep into this and the how of getting there in different ways. And you'll notice what Marion was saying earlier about certain things that can be probably applied everywhere, and certain things that are really just very market-specific challenges that you need to start adjusting. So starting with Ahmed maybe, what was the reason that what drove you ultimately to say, yeah, I need to leave the US and start this?
Because I believe there was too much potential, and I was looking to help as much people as I can back in my countries, where I came from. I think I gained a lot of knowledge in America, in my business, and I was looking to do something just I can benefit people, so I understand the benefit of building an MLS in any real estate market. So for me, that was the motive to start and go through what I went through for the last 3 years. I think it was not an easy journey, but I'm so happy to be here, you know, talking about what I did, what I've been through. I'm not gonna say it was hard, but it's definitely not an easy process, but the reward is amazing. So we can go through it with your questions. We already, yes.
Yeah, you know, so what was the first step? So you took a flight and...
It was a wedding, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to go into details. I went to Egypt, then I was in Dubai, and I never had any, I was like, I want to build the MLS, and then I did, I saw the economy, I saw what's going on, and this is before, like, anyone was thinking building an MLS and the global market at this area in the world. Then I was like, this is the time now. This is the time that we need, at the whole Middle East and the Arab countries, we need a platform, unified data, one source of information, the truth about the real estate industry. We need an MLS. Then I had two approach I had to go through. When you build an MLS, there's always two approach. A commercial approach or governmental approach. You will never have the MLS in every country, in each country, the same way you do it in other countries. You have your own culture, you have your own rules, you have your own laws. So for me was, which approach I'm gonna take in every country, and that was a challenge. So in Egypt, for me was like the governmental approach. Why? Because the government will enforce certain rules and regulations related to building a multiple listing service, like education, like certification, like people have to get, broker have to go by the rules. So it's very hard to go into a market that I don't want to say it's unorganized, it's working based on just people doing business with each other with no guidelines, and you're going to say, hello guys, I have an MLS. They're going to say, like, they look at me like I'm a crazy guy, like, well, what are you talking about? What's MLS? I've been through this story, and I told the story to multiple people. Like, I go sometimes to people now in government agency, and they say, oh, I know you're the guy for the MLS, right? Like, now they understand, they get to know it. So in Dubai, we have different approach. And that's the part that I would like to explain. The government is not going to support you in Dubai because there is rules and regulation. It's already in place. So they said, we support the private sector, so we would like to endorse you, but you do it in your own. If you're going to show the benefit of the MLS, people will join the MLS. So we will endorse you, but we're not going to say we're partners. We're just endorsement. So each country have its own rules and regulation. So I took my family, and I said, guys, let's go. We're moving back to the Middle East. My kids can't speak Arabic even. And they give me a hard time every day now. It's like, Daddy, what we're doing? I was like, this is our country. We're going to stay here. And this is our life now. We need to help as much people as we can. So, and I built it, and I made it, so.
Yeah, well done. So a lot of personal investment to get
you.
to even this stage. So, Sorin, not too dissimilar the story in terms of what led to it, but different how you got to this point, right? So
yeah, as I told you, I'm a realtor. So we had this real estate company, which I built it in 2000, and in 2006 we were very successful. We were in top 20 companies in Romania, but from the beginning something was missing. Business was good. Revenues were good, but we didn't feel that we had the prestige, we had the respect of the customers, of the clients. In fact, we didn't even have clients, real clients. They are all just some customers, And this is what I was looking for. And then, okay, what can you do on the traditional European and non-American, non-North American, let's say, way of doing real estate? You cannot do too much to improve what you... So we had money. What can we do to the money? We bought furniture, computers, okay, nicer furniture, nicer building, but that's what you can do because all the time the system changes. Oh, maybe I could do this way. Oh, no, it's better this way. This is how it is in intermediation, in facilitation. So I looked on the internet, and at that time, before searching on the internet, it was only US, no other internet, okay? And I found Century 21, Remax, Coldwell Banker, everything, and I started to study, and of course NAR, started to study everything that's happening there, and I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And what I wanted to do is change the way that real estate business was conducted in Romania. And I was young, Europe and more at the time. And, but not only for the others, but mainly for ourselves, for our brokerage. So we got a trainer from Canada, from British Columbia. Well, we had an implementation of Agent Office, the CRM, and we started to do business the North American way after we understood. Okay, but this trainer, Mike Meghan, he's called, his name, he said, okay, but you need an MLS. What's an MLS? And that's how it started. Okay, so that's how it started.
Excellent. Carlos, so I'm going to not talk about the North American piece of it. You can obviously elaborate on it, but I was thinking more of the igloo and how it started in the Czech Republic, the origin story here.
So I'm in therapy now because I made that decision. No, it's a huge undertaking. We discovered that we probably spent close to a year just to be legally compliant, working with White & Case and Dentons, especially because we created a partnership with the KBC Group subsidiary in the Czech Republic, so we are an extension of the bank. So Europe is highly regulated, and you can get in trouble quickly. So the first step took maybe 2 years.
And so did the bank say, hey, guys, we want an MLS, or was it you proposing to the bank, like, hey, we can do this, and your bank will be much better off?
So nobody asked, and we just decided we have a great strategy. The brokers don't want to cooperate with each other. So we realized we need to create a system that integrates all the stakeholders in the transaction. So the brokers is one of our customers, but we're dealing with financial institutions, inspectors, appraisers, insurance companies, developers. Bring everybody under the tent, and our primary customer is the consumer, not those professionals. Make sure we bring value to the consumer. And I feel is the best formula to create an MLS. So it goes beyond MLS. We use the word MLS because we are creating efficiencies for brokers and agents, but really we are creating a functioning market to transact real estate.
Excellent. So we'll get into kind of the strategy of how to, because it's a marketplace we're talking about. These are all marketplaces, an ecosystem, and you always run into this chicken and egg problem, right? Like what comes first to drive the eyeballs, to get the agents in. So we'll get to that in a second. So so all of you, okay, made this decision. You already had a system, an MLS system that you were able to deploy, so to speak. Of course, there were adjustments to be made, right?
Major adjustments.
Yeah, exactly. But Sorin, what was, MLS system, how did you find one, I guess?
Yeah, so I started studying this subject, yeah, and I found, of course, it's not very hard to find the vendors of the MLS in the United States. I understood that there's two different things. The MLS as a service, usually owned by an association or by brokers, which is a service that can integrate the MLS software, the main platform, and other also softwares and services. And there is the software. So we decided and understood that we have to be an MLS service, okay, and to find an MLS vendor. And we were looking for an MLS. We looked for it. We wrote to send and talk to several US vendors, and Flex MLS was the one that we chose, and they chose us. And we started with Flex MLS. It took us, of course, I didn't understand anything. Then they helped us understand. It took us 6 months to replicate, let's say, but to adapt without changing the principles, the rules and regulations of NAR, the forms, every form, listing contract, written offer, everything, but also adapted to our regulation and everything, all the forms, everything in place, and also the property sheets. we didn't change too much. I understood, and it was proven that we don't have to, for instance, describe the properties in rooms and not say bedrooms, because the customers understand. It's harder to make the agents understand, but the customers do understand because they need bedrooms for their children. There are things that you have to adapt and things that don't need to be adapted. Okay, you can say that it's a 3-room apartment, but also when you search bedrooms, you search bathrooms. Just an example. So we created this. It took us 6 months. And then we launched as an... also, we needed to do things that were not about us, but we needed to translate the code of ethics of NAR. We did this. We didn't find a word to change because it was... and it has been proven to be fully applicable for exclusive representation outside North America. And also we translated the most important document that I think, it's the relationship from the agency relationship, that the agent has to disclose to the customers. And this is something that we got from British Columbia also, because he helped us with the forms. Most of the forms were from British Columbia. And we adapted and we got a full package with everything. And this is what we went on the market with in 2007. So it took us more than a year. And we created a separate company, different. We were the first client as a brokerage of the MLS.
Great. So at this point, all of you had an MLS system, at least, so the kind of the engine of the car, as you described it yesterday, Ahmed. But now you have to build the car.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So and also you need to get the fuel in, right? So you need to get the data in somehow. So where do you start? I'm going to start quickly with Carlos here. So in the Czech Republic, what was the first step? You have an MLS system. You go to brokerages and say, hey, we've got this cool software, you should do it.
So we engaged the association first, and we agreed on the deployment plan, and then we started reaching out to brokers and make presentations. Some of them were skeptical, so it was a very long process to get everybody around a table, agreed, because we didn't want to impose anything on them. We are here to solve a problem for them, so we had to include them on the process of rules and regulations. We didn't want to impose NAR rules on them from the United States. They're a sovereign country. They have their own needs and rules and laws. So we worked together with them for months. We guided them and pushed them along the way because otherwise no decisions were being made. But yeah, it was all local, to solve local problems.
But you went after the brokers mainly, not, let's say, the consumers, or you needed the data first.
Real estate brokers.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And Ahmed, what was your strategy?
Just I want to say that how it's, the strategy is, when I start as a user. So, I was a Stellar customer, which is, for me, it was a Stellar. I didn't know anything. I was like, how we do the business? As a Stellar customer, I'm using Stellar every day, Stellar MLS, and, I'm using the front end and the applications and, the technology. It was amazing for me. So what Stellar is using, they're using CoreLogic. I was like, so how I'm going to start this journey? So the start was, this is the truth, it was a Stellar. So, and I didn't understand at the time, and I have to admit, and I agree here today, that I was not aware of the size of this technology and how big this technology is. So the challenge came when I signed my contract with CoreLogic, and I was thinking this is going to be fun, and we started the due diligence. Then the CoreLogic came and they told me, where's your front end? I was like, what are you talking about? Are you guys offer everything? So you guys going to give me everything? They said, oh, you have to have at least, but to be honest, they were so helpful to give me this information and knowledge and help. But Stellar was, for me, was the business model that I was aiming for to build at the Middle East. Then came into a challenge is that when business work based on portals, the portals business is different than having an MLS. So my challenge was, I'm going to have the data, we're going to have the strategy to collect the data for the MLS, then now I need to go work with the portals. Then everybody at the Middle East reject me, 100%. See, I'm saying this straightforward. No one, no portal is doing business based on a manual business listing will like an MLS. Why? Because their business based on duplicate listing. This is how they're going to make their money. They're going to have the house 17 times. As Sam explained yesterday, with Gizo, with what's going on. You're going to have the house I own today in Egypt, it was offered 17 times in 17 different websites, one time for sale, one time for rent. So I got the challenge. So I went to the challenge so now I have to build the whole technology stack. I have to build my own marketplace. I have to build my applications. I have to build the front end, the back end. So that was not fun to have the whole business. What I'm going to do with my data, it's great to have a broker to broker. Then the broker came and started to ask me question. Okay, we love your MLS, like let's say in Egypt. Would love to be in your MLS. What are you going to do for me? You're going to cooperate with each other. I don't care. It's like, what do you mean you don't care? Oh, what I'm going to, like I sell anyway. Give me some more value. I need to see a value for your system that I can make money. You talk about changing the business. Then we start saying, okay, we're going to build a marketplace. So we built our marketplace. We build an auction homes. We build the buying process. You can buy online. You can buy homes, make an offers online. We build the same, I don't want to say the same, but we build a Zillow Middle East business model. And that's why also we have this kind of agreement with Stellar Universal, like for consulting and doing the business and understanding how we're going to serve our customers. And, so we realize in markets that unregulated or they're doing business the old way, we are coming the same way like Kodak company a long time ago. You guys, we have a digital business. Oh, no. I like to take my pictures with my camera and I'm going to go print it at the studio. This is going to disappear. And that's why we're getting a lot of issues with the portals and, they go against us, they vote against us. And it's clearly, I'm not saying this is something hidden. So this is the challenge and this is the way we're trying to do the business now.
Understood. So you mentioned, okay, portals is a challenge in its own. As you said, they count on revenue from inventory that may not be real inventory, right? I was actually at a conference just last week, which was on portals. There were just portals there. It's also a problem for them because between them there is competition, and a portal that has more fake listings or duplicates wants to do better than the other one, right? So they're working on this too.
More.
They're trying to, right? So it's in their interest in some sense, and they're looking at different business models. Very interesting conference. Sorin, I'm going to ask you about your secret sauce a little bit.
Yeah, and how we got there.
Super interesting. This is definitely worth listening to if you're not listening now.
Okay, thank you. So we of course listening to Ahmed. It's what happened there. Of course, I was talking Ahmed was explaining now. It was obvious for me.
Everything
And
have the same problem.
What we did first, we launched a big event at the Chamber of Commerce of Romania in Bucharest in 2007 when the package was ready, and with videos, tutorials, everything. We had tutorial for everything that had to be done. We had the whole set of documents, so listing contracts, buyer contracts, everything by representation, written offers, addendums, everything. 40 plus documents, except beside the code of ethics, the working with the realtor, relationship disclosure, the property sheets, which were also new documents for them, and we had everything to present. And we were, and also we explain this. Okay, in the rooms there are 100. This is what we did for years. And we thought it was obvious and everybody will understand and they will join to the effort in their own interest. We said, let's make this calculation. How many companies we are in this room? There are 100 companies. How many agents? This number of agents. Okay, if every agent has 2 listings, exclusive listings, it was like 30% of the market or 40%. Okay, we got it. Yeah, everybody. They went home. Nobody did anything. This happened from, so we started this in Bucharest. We started the MLS in Bucharest with listings, only exclusive listings, and tried to educate and to explain. We also went to the association. We gave everything to them. This is, please use everything. In time also there was another association, the current association created, which adopted the code of ethics, the one that we adopted even today. They are using the relationship, working with the realtor, and the code of ethics that we translated, and also the forms, everybody, I'm talking what happened eventually in 18 years. They adopted everything. We don't have time to tell you all the steps, but we launched in Bucharest 2007. Then in 2009, the association was formed and partnered with us. Okay. Then we launched in Constanța, and in Constanța, they gave us this feedback. They said, of course, there were not enough listings. The way we did the most important tool that is easy to understand by the market is the CMA, the comparative market analysis. So they needed this. Even if they didn't know how to do listings, let's say, but they needed this. And this is the most important tool that everybody still understands. And we did it with the non-MLS information. So Flex MLS allows also to add information, and this is how we did it for a few years. Starting in 2007, up to 2011, when the guys from Constanța, where the MLS got pretty strong.
You're a hero.
It was a city of, yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a city with, it is a city with 300,000 inhabitants. They said, okay, we have an idea. Some broker, he said, why don't we please let us also add for sale by owner information. They don't call it like this, but it's for sale by owner information. They call it ads or private ads or something like this. And we'll add for sale by owner information. But I said, how can everybody will add some stupid thing? No. Okay, we'll hire a person in our community. They didn't have an association, like a community. They hired a person, and it was the wife of one of the brokers, something like this. And she started adding calling owners, because in many countries, I think in Europe, Eastern Europe at least, almost every seller, first he places an ad on some websites, and the agent, everybody calls them. Then he doesn't publish the ad, but you can have this opportunity to get the feasible information. So that person was calling and started to add the information. It didn't work so well because, of course, nobody is supervisor. And we said, okay, we'll hire. We'll get the fee. We'll upgrade a little bit the fee. We hire her. We hire another person. And this is how it started. And now, of course, the feasible information for sale by owner is available only to the agents, but it's very good data, historic data. And I think in most markets, this could be, because we should have done it earlier, but how could we have now? I don't know. But because it's the chicken and the egg, okay? Because you have the CMA, you have statistics. We were looking at the statistics. Flexibility is so powerful. All types of statistics. CMA, what shall we do with those? We just listed and provide information, listing information to buyers. But that was it. So now we can use it for CMAs, for prospecting, to get listings, and for everything. Of course, this is not listing quality, but it's with address, map location, history, price history, everything from list to close, or when it's canceled. We know everything. It's canceled, it's expired, it's withdrawn. And this is how is it now, and I think this is the strongest point of the service, because they were asking us to provide something because they don't want to change the market. They want to have something today for their business. We want to change the market. The brokers, not necessarily, only a few of them.
So if you've got this, so to get data in, Sorin started to actually collect FISBO data manually, basically. And now, what is your call center size, roughly?
It depends on the season. It's about 10 to 15 persons. We had many, but we develop procedures and everything. It's like very, very complicated system in order to be able to also add the information and update the information. So there are different specialties, supervisors, everything.
Yep. Yeah. So like a whole operation around collecting data just by calling and finding out. And
because only one thing I want to say, I realized it recently. Even if everything works perfectly in a new market, you cannot have more than 5–10% of the brokers in the market list exclusively. They will not. It will take time, 5 years, I don't know. So you don't have the market. And the MLS, in my opinion, is the market. You have to have the market there.
Fantastic. Brilliant idea, of course. Carlos, and Igloo, just very different entirely, right, of how this is approached, right, with the bank. Tell us a bit more about what the vision there is a little bit around Igloo working with the bank and other pieces of the ecosystem and the transaction.
So data is the most important part of any MLS, and without data, you can't do CMAs, you cannot do anything. Nothing works. So the first thing we did is secure access to the land registry, which is run by the government. And it's not so easy to get access. They have to know that you're reputable, that you're not going to misuse the data. So we secured that, and immediately we have access to the activity of the market, so we can do a lot with that. Then we were able to push them along. The process was already in place, but they actually changed the law for access to the public records. And Martin did a great job convincing them that it would be beneficial. So then we had access to that data. I believe today for syndication and data exchange between all the various systems that have been there for the past 20 years, we are using, maybe Martin can correct me, but about 40 different APIs, because there is no a single standard, and we will accommodate any format, any API, just to get that data into us. So we spent some time developing that system, and once you get the data, you have to normalize it because it's all over the place. Vastly different from one broker to another.
And Igloo also did something interesting in our prep call, I was mentioned. When you started, you also acquired a brokerage management system, or like a back office system, right?
We actually acquired the competitor.
Yeah.
That's been in the market for 25 years. Very old technology, but it was strategic because we learned firsthand how they conduct business and how the system works. So we basically replicate a lot of that functionality on our system to have less resistance that the system is not going to work for us.
Yeah, so the idea being here is that they're already using a system to manage the brokerage. Here is a better version of this. And
exactly.
Modern, and here is a button that says send to MLS, right?
And they never had access on the MLS to the land registry. That was unheard of. Before they had to, I guess, walk to the office or log in on another system. So here, everything was centralized.
Fantastic. So helping the adoption again by making it easy for the brokers to just do the next step into the MLS. So brilliant. We're almost at close. What I wanted to close this off with, and by the way, anybody, they have a wealth of knowledge amongst them, and definitely talk to them after the session. But with all your experience of having started this, what would be your advice? So we have a few markets in here probably that say like, okay, we want to do this. I'm sure there's some of the ideas here are very relevant for the American MLSs as well. So what is your advice to them if they're thinking about either changing or starting an MLS?
You have to be open-minded. What worked in the past might not work in the future. Change is coming, and this time is a tidal wave, even in North America. Don't get stuck in the way you've been doing business. You have to look at the future and prepare for it.
What's the future?
The future is create the digital transaction and bring all the stakeholders. So I see the MLS providing services not just to brokers and agents in real estate, financial institutions, insurance companies, everybody that is involved in the transactions, lawyers, they all have to be brought in on a single platform and create efficiencies.
Sorin?
I could give some advice. Of course, it's not generally applicable or valid, but what I would do now from day one, so I would definitely start with data in the system, not how I did it, because it is I don't know, I'm almost sure that not in any market on this planet, the agents will not buy into it right away. They won't buy at all, I think. You have to have them inside for something, to give them something. Every one of us is giving them some value. It's not like in the United States where it started, I have the listings, so they were already working exclusive listings, and they put them together. Here, we have to make them put the listings for, I don't know, they will not generally without any incentive. So I will have the data in the system, and even if it will take you at least 1 year before you launch to collect data, some type of data, of course, there are other. Also, I would not start in several markets. And when I'm saying market, I say local market, like a metropolitan area, okay, the city and the surroundings. This is the market. I would start in one market, and I would focus on that market until I build a community that will, because I really believe that without a local community, an MLS board, local association, an MLS board, I don't know who runs the MLS board, but it's formed by the agents from that area who will need to meet with each other regularly, talk about their problems, create new rules, adapt the rules, and this. So one market, one community, and data. And I think after you succeed, you can go building the other markets. This is what I would do and what we are focusing to do now.
Ahmed?
I don't think I have time to say anything, but it's okay. Like, my time is over, so.
Oh, sorry.
No. It's not, no, it's okay. I just have one advice. If you're willing to get into any business, you have to have, and I have 6 seconds, I'm sorry, thick skin. And be willing to take the heat. And if you believe you're going to be the change, and you want to make a change in other people's life, you have to be patient, you have to work hard, and you have to believe in what you're doing to make the change. And this is my advice. I'm out of time, but that's it.
Good advice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What an incredible panel, and how much courage it took for some of these early pioneers. I wanted to just quickly, in addition to what I announced earlier about the gala, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows the gala will take place here in the same venue, and there is going to be a bus leaving at 7:30 from the Crown Plaza. So if there are any questions, let any of us know. Happy to answer. Mathew, do you want to introduce the next panel?
Indeed. All right, the next panel is MLS and emerging technologies. This group will focus on the integration of cutting-edge technologies like AI, machine learning, you heard it all. They will explore how these emerging technologies are reshaping real estate practices and creating new opportunities for MLSs, brokers, and agents globally. Moderating this panel is Bill Fowler. Bill is entering his 25th year in the real estate technology, from MLS platform provider to syndicator to national brokerage, and now as president of SourceRE. And if you say it fast, it sounds like SourceRE. He's a sorcerer. That experience, coupled with a vast network of MLS and PropTech relationships, Bill has emerged as one of the industry's most respected and sought-after advisors on rethinking MLS in a modern setting. Bill, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Thanks. Wow, hot mic. Hello, and thank you. Everyone who is in this room, who was here for Paris? Raise your hand if you were in Paris. Fantastic. That means that the rest of you are brand new. Congratulations on being in the right room at the right time. I would like to introduce my panel now. Carrie, come on up here. Carrie Law, coming all the way from Hong Kong. I think she may have she wins for mileage on the stage today. Come on up, Nathan. Nathan Brannen from Restbi. Come on up, Kurtis. Well, you guys just come on. We don't have to make this dramatic. Let's just do this this way. Thank you. Kurtis wins the shoe game today, by the way. Obviously did some shopping in Milan yesterday. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you all for being here. This panel, I think, represents the cutting edge of technology in real estate. I mean, we're talking artificial intelligence and machine learning, which, at least in the States, is the hottest of hot topics once we get past our legal issues. But I do believe that we have an opportunity to talk about, in this room, what the potential for a cohesive MLS environment in the international community can ultimately lead to. Most MLSs in the United States are already discussing, if not with these people individually, companies like theirs, to do really important things with the information that we have in front of us. MLS data in the United States is a given, the single source of truth, centralized databases, and yes, they are fractionalized in 300 plus environments at the market level. But what we can do with that information is extremely powerful, both for the practitioner, the broker, down to the agent, and down to the consumer. AI and machine learning is simply a given. And as a means of introduction to these people, the brightest minds in the industry, I mean, they're here for a reason, and they're here because they're doing really, really important things. So we're going to talk to them about what they're up to, and we're going to talk about because we're at the cutting edge, cutting edges can sometimes cut. They're scary for a lot of our clients, but they're also incredibly valuable. So again, thank you for being here. And why don't we very briefly, and we call this a business card introduction, why don't we just describe who we are and what we're doing, maybe what brought us here very briefly. Just describe your companies and what you're up to as a means of context here. So Carrie, why don't you go first?
So my business card is two number, 2 and 3, meaning two worlds. The East and the West is always connected. So I am lucky enough to have this visibility and perspectives because I've been working on 3 core industries, which is media, cross-media in the last 30 years, and then also what we called technology, digital, like the AI, which is actually 30 years ago. And then also real estate. It's all about cross-border transactions. So my previous jobs has been like bring startup to IPO, IPO merge, meaning to list the company, maybe you heard of that, iProperty Group in Australia, Real Estate Australia Group in Australia, and the largest deal in year 2016. So these are marketplace for all the agents and developers. So we match the consumers, meaning investors, and my last role is talking about GY CEO, and that is 3 million listings. So half of them are from MLS, and then also like 100 countries. When we said 100 countries, so these are all agents, all developers from around the world targeting global Chinese buyers. And that's why I was interviewed by leading broadcaster like CNBC and Bloomberg. I'll come back to this because I got a lot of complaints on the list, sufficient enough or quality enough, and then how technology may be potentially helpful. So that's why I have my own business now, Wow Impacts, data insights, media influences, and then tech edges for all the growth accelerations. I wish this perspective would help you, because it seems I'm the only one, not just on the real estate transactions, but also from the marketplace and beyond. Thank you.
Great. Nathan.
I'm Nathan Brannen. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Restbi.ai. Restbi is a AI company that looks at photography and tries to extract all of those insights that you instantly understand when you look at a photo, but to turn that into structured data that can be used for a lot of different purposes. We were started about a decade ago and work with a lot of MLSs in the US, but also work with brokerages, portals, really anyone in the real estate ecosystem that deals with photos. But also, being headquartered in Spain, have the benefit of seeing what it's like in different countries. We work in over 35 different markets, and I've seen a lot of the benefits of an MLS system and what that enables, and so excited to share that perspective today.
Get it. Kurtis.
So I'm Kurtis Cicalo. I'm the CEO and founder of VoiceFlip. Yesterday, Ramon mentioned something, democratizing access to data, and that is a core tenet of why we started VoiceFlip. So basically, our technology is a data accessibility company. We're a data accessibility company. We can take any data, make it usable with natural language and voice, and in 25 different languages. And also, we're adding sign language later on this month, hopefully. So basically, that anyone can, talk to their data and get valuable insights from it. And from that, we build AI agents for either consumers, your employees, or your executive team.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Saunders. I'm British, but I live in America, and I'm the CEO of Global Property Systems. And that is a hybrid real estate marketing brokerage that operates on 3 continents. And many years ago, I got into crypto transactions, and I hadn't a clue what was going on. So long story short, I went back to school. I went to MIT and did blockchain innovation, technology, and application. And now I teach realtors how to gain trust of their clients through transparent transactions, bringing security to the transaction, and ultimately accountability, which is all equals trust. And blockchain, I'm going to bring it right down from the MFTs and the Web3, so we can not fractional investments, etc., right down to the local realtors and how they can use this technology to their advantage. And the reason why I think I'm here is that MLSs could implement this into their systems. I use it on our MLS in New York, and now in New Hampshire as well. And we implement it by putting a code into agents' remarks, and all offers are on-chain. So nothing can be, it's all transparent. Everybody sees every offer in real time. And that keeps everybody on a even playing field. The buyers are not bidding against themselves, etc. So there's more to come.
Great. Vanessa, I'd like to stay there with you because we'll go back down the road this way. As someone in my position sees a lot of technology come through our company that is looking for a market. There's no shortage of great ideas. There's no shortage of really well-intended early products. And the term that we throw around, at least in our company, is practical application. Real estate is arguably one of the more traditional industries globally. Still a lot of paper, still a lot of face-to-face contact that I don't think will ever be replaced. It can be augmented and supplemented. But tell me, you were starting to go down that road, and we talked about this before, the transparency that's allowed in a real estate transaction through blockchain. So if you could maybe through the lens of practical applications of some of this technology, give us some insights on what you're doing.
Well, the practical application is we're in a dubious industry, let's put it that way. There's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of greed involved, and not everything is transparent. And so the clients, and I consider my clients to be the end user, the sellers, the buyers. My agents are essentially the clients of the MLS. So we, as a brokerage, have implemented blockchain into our daily business, which allows us, and I'm a relatively small company when it comes to the EXPs of the world, we need to go out and be effective against their agents. So we have brought transparency using blockchain to our transactions. And what that means is, as I just said, is leveling the playing field. Nobody gets left behind. Buyers and sellers get to see everything in real time. So what does happen, unfortunately, is because of the commission structure as it was, and it still is, in America I'm talking about, you have to be very careful that you forget who you represent. So sellers trust their realtor with the key of their house, and they trust their realtor to bring all the offers and present all the offers. And that doesn't necessarily happen because the money involved and the sharing of commissions is involved. But if it's on this immutable blockchain, which is a beautiful thing, then the seller gets to see every offer that comes in, whether it's from my company, it's called dual agency, or whether it's from another company, and the buyers get to see that their offer actually was presented, and then the top 3 or 5, depending on the sellers and how many offers come in, will actually get to bid against each other, if you like, not like an auction, but they see everything. And so if this is the top offer, it's not a secret to this person that's down here. They actually get to see it. And can they bid up? Well, maybe they can't, but they get that opportunity. Without having to send an email or a text at midnight or a frenzied phone call and so forth, which is what the business really runs on right now, correct? Kurtis, it's the same story, and question for you is this, you have a much more direct practical application, I think, to the end user, but like describe like a success maybe in your workflow, what you've seen from your consumer.
Yeah, so we recently launched a new product. It's an association joint venture we have with an association in the US. They came to us and they had an issue where they spent about 200 hours a month on the phone talking to their members, just doing member support, and that was like a 9-to-5 thing for 2 full-time staff. You know, they came to us and said, like, hey, can you automate this anyhow, or anyway, can you make this easier for us? So we ended up taking all their member-facing data, so everything from their website, about 3,500 PDF files, and a bunch of other things. Put it through our data ingestion engine, and then hook that up to WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, a phone system, on the web, Instagram Messenger, and there's one more that I can't remember, I think, oh, TikTok. And we've ended up reducing their phone support calls by about 75% and saving them a ton of money in the meantime. And what they've done is actually taken those staff members, those full-time staff members, and moved them to a different position where they can now generate revenue for the association, as opposed to just sitting there mind-numbingly answering the same question over and over and over and over. So that's probably been one of our big successes. We launched that product a few months ago, and we've had a ton of associations interested now, and it's kind of going gangbusters. So
yeah, great, nice. Nathan, same theme. Like this practical application, you guys have a direct approach. You've been working in the United States and Canada with Restbi for quite a while. What have you seen in terms of like going from, hey, we can make brown grass green, to the depths of generative AI at Restbi?
I think for us, we work, as I mentioned before, with a lot of MLSs, and one of the MLSs' key components is being that source of truth for all of the data. And it's great that they have that data, they can make that data accessible, but one of the other things that's really important for that data is for it to be complete. And right now, there's a lot of things that people look at the MLS and say, okay, great, I know the beds, the baths, the square footage, but there's also the thousands of other possible things that you can use to describe a property. And the way each agent, or even each MLS across the entire country uses that is going to differ. With AI and being able to look at the images, you can auto-populate a lot of that information, so you can make it very easy for an agent to validate all of the information that's there. But then more importantly, once all of that information is present on all of those properties, it's all the additional functionality that can be built on top of it. So as you look into the future and people talk about things like, oh, I want to do natural language search, or I just want to describe what I want and instantly get that information. That all sounds great, but it doesn't work unless you have that complete data set and everything populated in a very structured format that is usable by these AI systems. And so that's something that we're seeing MLSs do. more and more, and we're seeing 40% increases in the amount of data that's attached to listings. And all of this is, I think, things that are going to be just used in incredible ways moving forward because previously people never thought about these things because the data didn't exist. So super excited about that.
Great, great. Carrie, same question for you. This practical application in the technologies that you're
I think you have a very good question here, Bill. I would use 5L to explain the whole journey. 5Ls means when we have MLS, we have the listings. So we humbly try to challenge ourselves, like what could be better, right? Is it just the listings as a matter of fact, single version of truth? But what's behind these listings is all the footprints of our consumers, meaning the buyers, investors, as well as our customers, agents, and developers. So how can we harness these valuable footprints to do the sales accelerations means the lead generation, right? So AI has been coming to the stage. Like in the past, you may use list for list search result, correct? Right? It's all on the search results page. But then we said with AI, we can recommend some similar listings that you didn't see, but it may be relevant to your search. But I have my team like 75% on this relevance and use another 25% for not relevant as to test some behavior that consumers, even they don't know. They didn't aware this may be a fit. But now with AI, what we imagine is you have solution search. So imagine, so my son at his 4 years old, when I couldn't remember how to write a word, so he said, Mom, you're not going to search like this. Now he's 18. So he picked my mobile, and then he talked to the mobile, voice search. So it's back to 14 years ago. And now, like it or not, I know many of you has been using AI. Hands up, how many of you has been using AI? Pretty much, right? So reimagine, have you ever considered your solution search of housing? So if I said I'm living in California, San Francisco, very nice place, but then I said, 6 months later or 3 months later, I would like to downsize because I'm planning for my retirement. So what is the price range of my current property? I should price it. And then if I'm going to Florida, Jackson Village, let's say, what is my option, my price range? What should I prepare myself? And then how many days could be like from lead to sales, listing to sales. So listing and list, right? And then that solution is talking about not just one listing result, it's a solution result in the AI search. Then it comes to the leaders. You guys are all leaders, right? From around the world. I'm so honored to have this humble opportunity to learn from you. But then these leaders, are you still thinking about just MLS or beyond MLS? Because all this could be fitting into your LLM, meaning a large language model. And in LLM, it's all talking about data diversity. So it's not just the listing. It's your neighborhood. It's the transaction result. Then we can have AI property valuation that is forecasting the future. Would that neighborhood is going to grow if I invest there? Or how much it can grow in the future? So that comes to my 4L, meaning leverages. When you have these leverages, meaning technology, so you can also consider using blockchain to tokenize your solutions, meaning tokenize your assets, become not just physical properties. It is real-world assets for tokenized stable coins transaction. Not crypto. Stable coins is tied with CBDC, central bank, what we call digital currency. So 1 USD physically is equal to 1 EUSD. And then the last L, live for everything. So I wish with this sharing, when we are considering technology, it's beyond just listings, but also like growth acceleration.
Okay, advanced stuff here. But one of the things that we have mentioned most often is data. And again, referring back to the first question is the assumption is that we all have clean single source of truth, MLS data to tap into, and then everything else flows from there. We don't have that here. In this international community, we're still struggling with exactly where to begin. I'm gonna start my next question with a quick little story. Early 2000s, at one of the very first RESO group meetings, which was at the National Association of Realtors building in Chicago, it was very clear that we all had, we were working from the same playbook, generally. Everyone had something to offer in that room. There were many competitors. There were many representatives of companies, technology companies from around the world, primarily working in the United States and Canada. But RESO was born from a single mandate to create a data dictionary, to make it easier for us to all work together. I think that we have a lot of opportunities in this room, but the first meeting at RESO was not the most important meeting for RESO. The second meeting was the most important. The first meeting was conceptual. Let's all get into the same room and we all had some great food and drank some great beer in Chicago and so forth and so on. A meet and greet is good for everybody. The second meeting was critical because if there wasn't any movement or execution at the second meeting, there wasn't a third. So we all love Milan, we all love traveling and showing up on social media, and I look pretty good in that picture up there, but we're not here for that. We're here to do something. So I'm asking for your advice now, getting away from product and getting away from the granular answers that you've just given, and more about a philosophical answer to the question, what's next? What would you advise this room? How would you advise a group of people that all want to work in the same direction to get to where you want to be, which is blockchain, which is the digital access to information? How would you advise this group to start?
Me?
Go for it.
So if I was starting an MLS from scratch, I would think about implementing blockchain as a value add to the clients, your clients, the agents and brokerages, as a value add which would provide them with an ability to level the playing field, as I keep saying. And it's as simple as that. But then once you know the fundamentals, you can take blockchain to add more value. You can bring in title, notary, etc. So you can go up, and then you can go on to fractional investments, etc., etc. But you need to learn the basics first of all. And if that is implemented into the very basics of the ecosystem, then everybody has a chance to actually understand the value of that technology.
Kurtis.
Yeah, I think my first bit of advice would be don't be afraid of collaboration. Collaboration's fantastic. We've had some issues in the US trying to work with different organizations, and there's like these little internal politics that's very hard to get around, and it's hard for growth and hard to adopt new technologies because of that. The other thing is, if you're building from scratch, start with new tech. Don't adopt some old technology that's 30 years old and build on top of that. It is very difficult to add modern bleeding edge or leading edge technology to tech stacks that are 30 years old. So I would say, if you're building something brand new, start with everything brand new.
Yeah, just to add to what you just said, I've heard this phrase mentioned a few times in my own business, is that the technology is actually the easy part. It's the territorialism and the politics and the so forth and the so on, that the human-to-human interaction which causes the most friction. Is that a fair assessment?
It is, definitely, yeah. That is our biggest issue, trying to expand into the US, yeah. Right.
Nathan?
I think when you look at what the MLS brings and what it offers, a lot of people in this room would agree that it's better for the consumer, it's better for the entire real estate ecosystem. The challenge that we've seen working in markets all over the world, where the ones that have functioning MLS systems I can count on one hand, is that typically there is a dominant portal in that space or in that market that has all of the listings. And there's a lot of benefits to being the one who has all of the listings. And so one company benefits quite greatly in that situation, but it's at the expense of there being a very thriving ecosystem with a lot of access to data that can prop up thousands of companies that can be very successful. And so you have to think in your particular market, what are the ways to create incentives for the sharing of data, that cooperation that exists. And in some markets, you have the ability to maybe partner with the government. In a lot of markets, that's certainly not going to be very easy or feasible or maybe the best path forward. Maybe there's ways to look at, all right, the larger brokerages, can we come up with some incentives there? Can we work with other financial institutions that would have a vetted interest? I know Carlos on the previous presentation was talking a lot about how there's a direct benefit to a lot of financial institutions in those markets. And you need to get the stakeholders, the people that have influence to do the politicking, as was mentioned, to figure out how you can kind of take that first step. Because the technology is the easy part. It already exists. It's a lot easier today than it would have been before, but the politics are still there, and the politics aren't easy. So you need to figure out kind of how to solve that problem, and then you can start putting the other pieces in place.
Great, thank you. Carrie.
So I understand many of us are from the real estate agents or brokerage in our group. So what I think potentially for adding values is like working with an agent group to really deep dive into the opportunities of how to unlock the value of listings in terms of understanding the data behind for housing solution search with the AI help. And with that, we can actually come up with kind of like perspective solutions. And then eventually, all the agents are actually those emotional connector, be able to negotiate with the influencers as well as the decision makers. Because all this information is your leverage on how to take the solution to your customers and then talk to them on why you should structure the deal here or there by this portfolio mix, or why we have to sell now and then sell at this price for the potential future value. And I do think all these agents, eventually you can leverage marketplace, meaning all the portals, but all these portals has a lot of complaint and you are complaining the CPL and CPA is too high. But at the end of the day, you can also own your own LLM, meaning you can use your search information and you understand the customer better than anyone else to do that deal because you have your AI search chatbot to help you. So that's something I think in the future we can work on. And also global Chinese market, we always welcome new projects to come to our market. And we have those data to help you to unlock this portfolio, meaning how to find them and how to talk to them on the minds, not at the heart, but not just on the surface information. So this is something I would like to do.
Great, thank you. Last question for you all is related to barriers. We just mentioned politics and kind of the human red tape that we have to surf through in order to get new technology adopted in a very traditional environment. The transaction is still very traditional. The agent relationship with the consumer is beautifully traditional, actually. But I think we all see an opportunity for a best case scenario for our individual technologies to create, remove that friction. Not necessarily challenging anyone's value statement. We're not trying to disintermediate an agent. We're not trying to rid someone, to pull someone out of that vertical necessarily. But I'm going to start with you, Nathan, because I think that you have maybe the longest history in the marketplace in the US at the very least. And what would be your ideal, or what do you see as the next logical step for Restbi in creating the ultimate value for the agent and their consumer?
I think similar to my last point, it's really about trying to help people realize what the incentives are for them to, move to this MLS model or to move to, any change from what they're doing. I heard earlier this week, the best agent software is the one they're already using. Agents don't like changing. That's not the thing that gets them up in the morning. They like working with their clients. So you really need to be able to clearly articulate the value, how they're going to benefit, why it makes sense for them. And it's a long journey. I think when we started, everyone we talked to said, hey, what you guys are doing is awesome. Everyone's going to be doing it. And I think there's a little bit of similarities here with the MLS model where it's like, oh, that makes so much sense. Why is not everyone doing it? And that's because it's hard. It takes a long time for people to change the way they've been doing things. And a lot of the things in this industry have been being done the same way for decades. So where can you, very clearly articulate what you want to do, what the benefits are, and start getting people to take actionable steps? And it may start small. It may start with a couple hundred agents. But as you grow and as you have this momentum building, that's really you ultimately get there to the end goal.
Great. Carrie, what about you?
Well, what I think potentially we can, like what you just mentioned, this group are for purpose and for real cases. And I do think with our minds together, so I hope after this conversation on the stage, we can have more conversation beyond this stage because everyone has something to offer on the table. Like in the future, I'm working with some teams and they are listed company, they want to venture new market, they have all these sandbox cases filed in Hong Kong regulatory. So in the past, when we talk about stock, it is like you have the exchange, you have the security account, and then you can, trade your stock. And in the future, our real-world assets, like all the properties, so not just the physical transactions. So this solution can help us to bring more young people onto the journey, because baby boomer, they are all well off, and then younger people is like digital nomads lifestyle. It takes longer time for them to get financially included in the digital assets world for being able to capture the wealth growth. So we would like to promote not just real-world assets tokenization transaction for primary market, secondary market, but also shared ownership. I think this is something could be very interesting for not just one part of the world, for those already regulated market, and it is going to be mature further.
Great. Kurtis, what are your thoughts?
So again, our core tenet of our company is easy access information. We're a data accessibility company. I think giving your agents, very easy access to all information that they would ever need, whether they're in the office, whether they're on the go, driving in their car, they're at a listing, and they don't know something about the house and the seller disclosure, so they quickly ask an AI agent and get a result back and have access to that to give to their client. That's where I'd like to see our technology going. I would love to see it deployed everywhere, obviously. Yeah, woohoo! Give me some money. But no, I think that's that's really the benefit of our technology. That's where I'd like to see it going. Just giving people quick access to information in their own native language, because that is a huge benefit. And just when they need it, so it makes.
Well, the agent is moving, constantly moving, and until very recently, all of us asked that agent to go sit down at a desk and do their work. And they work out of their cars. They work out of wherever their phone is where they are, and that makes perfect sense. Okay, Vanessa, we'll wrap up with you. What is your ultimate dream here?
I think the future is being able to transact business internationally and have the trust of the buyers and sellers. And to do that, we need education and information. And MLS is information that allows buyers and sellers to transact together with us intermediaries in the middle. And the technology of the future, we need to embrace this and not be traditionally behind the 8 ball, as we say in America, as in the past. We need to come into the future very quickly and embrace technologies, all of these technologies, so that we can succeed in gaining the trust of our clients.
Sure. Transparency, trust, this is all very, very powerful stuff. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for our panel. It's really, really great. Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Great one.
So, quick announcement, very important. Is Giorgio Pinda in the room? Giorgio? No? Okay, we have 2 cars that need to be moved. One with the plate EC189LV, and the other one with the plate GW873AE. One is a Volkswagen Polo, and the other one is a Mercedes. And please see Giorgio if it's your car. And if you know Giorgio from SEPI, it's also his birthday today, so you might as well congratulate him today. Great panel, lots of tech, quite complicated sometimes, but very important today. Next up, we'll have a very good panel here. It's about expanding horizons. Let me just go to the next slide here. Yes. Cross-border real estate. And so there's at least 2 reasons why this is important, because some markets will hugely benefit from this, from having this international collaboration. We heard Moat yesterday, how 60% of the residents in the UAE, I think was the number, are non-Emirati, so critical to their economy, so to speak. And even if it's not critical to your economy, if you're starting an MLS, if you're looking into building something international, could be that extra incentive for people to join your initiative. So the two reasons. Our moderator here is Ali Memar. Ali Memar has a lot of titles, and I'm only mentioning a fraction of them. He's an NAR Global Coordinator, the President of the Advisory Board for this forum, the President of Greater Bergen Realtors, a SIPS instructor, and a broker owner, and we'll be moderating this next panel. Please welcome Ali.
Good morning, everyone. I'm probably the least important person up here, so I'm going to have my distinguished panel to come up and introduce themselves. Well, I want to thank you for coming. I know all of you come from different part of the world, and it's a great honor to have you here. I'm going to start with you. Kelley, introduce yourself.
I knew I shouldn't walk up first. So I'm Meghan Kelley. I'm SVP of International Operations for eXp Realty. I've been in this industry probably about 22 or 23 years now. Was with Sotheby's Realty for several years, Realty for 18. So I started when I was 5, and I'm here now, and I'm very excited to be here.
I did when I was 4.5, so.
Oh, perfect, yes.
Gizo Ujarmeli, CEO of Maximo Finest Real Estate, President of Central Wisconsin MLS, and Global Ambassador of NAR to Georgia, Moldova, and Romania.
I'm Janet Choynowski. I'm the founder and CEO of Inaugural, and we provide the global platforms at enterprise level to the largest brands and organizations in the world. And we started that in 2000, so it's my personal opinion that I personally invented global real estate, but I'm glad to see that everybody else is catching up.
Hello everyone, I'm Christian Calusa. I'm a CEO and founder of NEO, New Estate Only, the, let's say, MLS of new construction. I always like to say the missing part of the MLS. And I'm originally from Italy, and I spent the past 20 years of my life selling US property, mainly overseas, in Europe and Latin America.
Thank you. As you see, we have people from different aspects of the international real estate and international transactions. With the growing trend and in the number and the dollar amount of global transactions, last time I checked, it was over $300 billion in the last 12 months. Only $42 billion in global transaction in US. So it's a big number that we're dealing here, and each one of you cover a different aspect of this. I just want you to tell me, starting from Meghan, what are your roles and what are the challenges, and if you have any solution with those challenges?
We got a while. So for us, it's a little bit different. So we're not a franchise for eXp Realty. We're the brokerage in every country we go into. So we have the requirement to be able to satisfy any kind of rules that we need to for every single market that we're in, as far as legal cross-border transactions and everything. So as you all know, tracking that is extremely hard. There's a lot of non-reporting of transactions. There's a lot of challenges with listing portals. We do have an internal CRM tool that helps us centralize everything, but then we also have localized CRMs in each country we're in, because a lot of times you need to have that local tool for agents to be able to do their business where they need to. So trying to get all of this data into one place and to be able to process transactions globally, cross borders, is it's a lot. So what I did was I reached out to all of our local country leaders, because I'm dealing with the data from an overall perspective, but they're dealing with it on the day-to-day. So I asked them about how they feel about MLSs and international MLS and standardizing it, and I talked to Dunya Fadi, who's here with us. She runs Dubai, and we actually were the first brokerage to join the Gulf region MLS that Ahmed was just talking about. So we announced that yesterday. So for us, having some sort of standardization with all of these different areas, I mean, we struggle with reporting because, you know, when does a transaction close? When is it considered closed? How many sides does a transaction have in France versus Dubai versus all these different places? So we're constantly trying to iterate. We're a public company. We need to be upfront and have everything standardized. Just doing something with an MLS would be amazing for us, and having data that we could use across all of our countries with all of our agents. Also providing the transparency that everybody's been talking about. You know, we look at Mexico. Mexico is starting to, you know, have their own MLSs and adopt standards. So we've been able to do a lot of transactions cross borders, like in Cabo, and places like that, which has really helped to build a relationship and trust. Because, you know, when you're in the U.S. and buying in Mexico, there's, you know, history there that, you know, having that trust in a Cabo MLS, you're able to purchase and do what you need to do. So it's been really interesting to hear everybody's points of view here and understand a little bit more about what all of this is about. Because I just, you know, Jason brought us in a couple months ago to start really learning about this more. So it's been really exciting to get to know you and everybody and what you're doing. And I think for us specifically, because we are a brokerage everywhere, it's very important that we have some sort of standardization.
And I know every country has its own challenges and its own way of doing business, especially closings. One of the biggest challenges, every country has a different, some countries like in the United States, even in every state, even in New Jersey, South Jersey and North Jersey, have different standards of doing a transaction and closing. For example, across the river from New Jersey in New York, there are no attorneys involved. There is no attorney review. And that some of the countries in South America and Middle East, closings done by a notary, which is the licensed entity by government. And in some countries like US, closings done by the title agency. So everyone has, these are the challenges that I know. But my specific question, you're running international in several countries. Do you ever had a problem collecting a commission from the other side?
Oh, no, never.
No.
Yes, there has been some challenges. It's actually not so prevalent in some of the more regulated countries. It's the countries where you have the handshake, because you have, you know, like you were saying, some states have titles and who's running the closing, and then literally some of it's closed with a handshake. So we have had challenges with that before. We do utilize in-country teams to help us go collect, just to enforce it. But there's, you know, there's several things that we do with transactions, trying to make sure we get all the information to just utilize it and be able to support our agents. So we have like the CRM tools we utilize. We work through what is the benefit of using that CRM and reporting your transaction? Because we will help you if your payment isn't coming in. We're able to go in and be able to track it, but if you're not reporting anything, we can't help you. So the value of us being there for the agent and things like that situation helps keep everything kind of moving.
Excellent. Gizo, same question. You remember the question?
I remember everything. As a broker owner in heartland of America, I deal with MLS and system obviously every single day. But at the same time, I realized that new global is local. Sometimes we don't even realize how local transaction is actually the global one. Like in central Wisconsin, where I operate and run the company, it could be transaction of client or customer who is purchasing a land for the purpose of harvesting and growing ginseng. Yet the party as a purchaser could be a large international or Chinese company that buys that land because Wisconsin is considered to one of the best places to grow the ginseng, and then they will grow it and re-import to China. As a CEO as a president of Central Wisconsin MLS, then I have a different function to oversee our data and oversee the operations, and most importantly, it is super important that data is clean, that we have a good quality data, that we exchange with our fellow brokers, participants of the marketplace. And I imagine that one day we will be able, with AI and everything that's going on in the technology field in the world, one day we will be able to log in a system and connect the entire world, just like we inter-exchange today within American markets and different MLSs. So that will make global transactions easier, and that will connect customers and clients worldwide. That's what I see as a future. And I see this as a solution for future, too. In the US, we're so on forefront, and I'm not saying this to brag about where we are with MLS, but many countries aspiring to implement MLS systems are looking at us. And I know until August 17th, we ran it a little differently. We run differently today, but there is no difference that this is a very effective way to transact. The functionality and data is still there, and it functions very well. And just like world language for business is English, I don't mean to discriminate any other languages. I believe that the real estate dictionary that Gizo is promoting and developing and continuing with this, going to be one day the universal language we're going to talk to each other, and the data is going to talk to each other. So I do believe that the future is bright, and the world is a village because of the data. So that's where the solution is.
Thank you. And Janet?
Well, I started off as a real estate practitioner. I had one of the first real estate brokerages in Poland after the fall of communism. And we were dealing with all the foreign companies coming in at that time, and that was just like the gold rush going on. And that really oriented me to the concept of cross-border investment in real estate, how money moves around and across borders. And after I sold my brokerage to CBRE, this was at the very beginning of the internet, so we were looking at 1999. I had seen Realtor.com online, and I thought, well, if I can be in downtown Warsaw and look at real estate in America in English, why can't I see property anywhere in the world in any language I would like to see it in? And from that, we developed the beginning of the Immobile platform. So our first concept was to make real estate data, real estate information available to consumers any way they would like to consume it, regardless of where that property might be located in the world. And so we came from that perspective, and now we still do that with 19 languages, and it's human professional translation that we've built up our own memories over these 20-odd years. And so that's something we do for the major brands. A lot of MLSs do this now so that the real estate information is available to their more diverse local populations. You know, if you're living in Los Angeles County today, there's a 72% probability that you go home at night and consume media and internet information in some language that is not English. And so even within the United States real estate industry, to persist with only marketing home information in English tends to shut out a large part of the local markets, and there's a growing understanding of that, and people want to move on. And from that, we grew to operating the referral network platform so that people can make introductions of their clients who are moving between markets, be that from one side of the country to the other or one side of the world to the other. Today, we move between $7 and $10 billion a year in referral transactions across our platforms. And this year, we've launched one specifically for MLS and real estate organizations called MLS Match. We already have more than 300,000 participants in there. Stellar MLS launched with us about a month ago. And I would say that within the first hour of their being live, their members had already opened and awarded 4 referrals that were in course. And so it was wonderful to see things brought to reality that I believed would happen if the industry was given the tools and the opportunity to do it. And so we're going forward with those two very synergistic approaches to make the real estate data accessible and to make it secure, reliable, privacy compliant, to make these client introductions and benefit from your client relationships no matter where that client may be wishing to move or even just make an investment anywhere on earth.
Thank you. Christian?
Yeah. No, I believe that, we specify on the new construction, in certain state is more than 30% of the inventory. And, as a realtor selling property overseas, was so fragmented, was so hard to get the information, to have all the information in one single place, like other industry, We are all here in Milan, we all fly from away, we go to booking.com or whatever, and we book an hotel. We can search by clear criteria. So I believe the new construction was missing a one go-to place for agent and for buyers. Multi-language. I believe even the way the information are shared change. I make an example, Brazil, Central South America, everything goes through WhatsApp, okay? Yep. So as an agent, having the full listing on my own website that I can share by email, social network, WhatsApp, it's a plus if I want to talk to this kind of buyer, okay? And on top of that, everyone is saying language in the US doesn't mean only global, okay? I mean, buying a property is something that will affect you and your family for a long time. I'm Italian, I live in Florida. But if I could access the information in Italian, for sure I would prefer to read it in Italian. It would be easier to share with my families. I mean, it's a big decision. So I believe that languages, it's important and and what we are doing, because we work a lot with real estate association overseas, like SILA, that represent 19 countries in Latin America, is about education of the agent. Every time I go there, I was a month ago in Ecuador for an expo. I see agents that want to promote US, but they don't know where to start from. So our idea is, first of all, we provide to those agents a tool that allows them to market, that guarantee the builder that they have control over the information share, because we don't want a buyer to have different information. And it's creating more referral and networking with the local agent, because at the end, that's the way, Every time I go there, I remember Mario, the president of Fedelonga, the Colombian association, told me, okay, now finally all our agent has the tool to promote. What's next? Say next is to connect with the local agent and work referral networking. And then what we do with the overseas association, we invest a lot of time on education. What is the process? Because as you say before, each country is different. And this is something that scares the agent on promoting. Everyone is losing sales. The industry is losing sales. So, putting together local professional on the accounting, on the immigration, on the lawyer, with the US one, and teach them what is the right way and safe way to buy. And every time, it's so easy, because at the end, US system, it's quite straightforward, very regulated compared to other countries. So it's very easy, but the people don't believe that. Maybe because they're using their own country where everything is hard, very hard in certain countries.
Thank you. Me as a practitioner, a global practitioner myself, and as the NAR global team, we call global business a glocall rather than a global. Glocall. Why glocall? Because at 99% of the time, a local agent selling a property to a global investor or buyer. So there are always challenges dealing with a global transaction. And if someone approaches me today and want to buy a property in Milan, how am I going to do it from New York or from New Jersey? So I have to find a local agent to work with. And there are always challenges because of lack of clean data or MLS. Yesterday I was talking with a gentleman from Middle East outside, and he was telling me in his country they have a kind of MLS. I said, if I give you a key to a kind of a car, would you drive it? He said, no. So I said, kind of wouldn't make MLS. You either have MLS or you don't. And the majority of countries in Europe don't have a real, a working MLS. And even in Middle East and South America, that's where I work a lot. What are the, solution? How do you help your agents as an international, coordinator for your company, and you as a broker, and Janet as a referral, and a lead generation? How do you help the agents in the other side? And how do you help your buyer to refer them to the agent internationally?
So for us, when we open in a country, our transaction team are typically lawyers versus we do, and as we grow, we will hire people who are transaction coordinators, but we work with them to build out the typical things that an MLS would provide, the paperwork, all of the different contracts that they'll need, and the support that they'll need from a legal perspective in order to be able to conduct business in the country, but also from referrals coming outside. We also have a referral platform that is internalized and automated, so it automatically creates all the forms. We have done all the research on tax on our side, on the corporate perspective, to make sure that the money's transferring in the right way, so the agent in the country does not have to worry about any of that sort of thing. So we really try to support the agents within those global referrals in those ways, and it's worked out really well so far. We've got a lot of referrals going back and forth, especially Colombia from the US, just all between Portugal and Israel and everywhere. It's just that we've got a lot of referrals going on, and that support has really given our agents the confidence that they need to be able to complete those transactions.
So you got it covered.
Yeah, we try.
Ali, I like the point with the kind of MLS, kind of car, but also kind of key. Yeah. So technology helps, of course, to explore, search for real estate, search for properties. But at the end of the day, through my experience, when we refer, the end point or end person, there is some kind of personal meeting has to happen. At least 99% of all transactions I've accomplished, whether it was something happening locally or globally, at some point, agent has to meet a client. Yes, I understand we can Zoom, we can do FaceTime, showing, we can do all that, but we are still in a business where it's a personal relationship, right? And so I think that's a key point. When inquiry comes to me, at that point, usually people from different places in the world asking me, I want to buy property here. Somebody from Georgia may ask me, can you help me to purchase property in Florida? But at some point, this connection will end up being person-to-person meeting. I believe technology is a great tool, but at some point, technology still needs to help humans to meet and accomplish the business in person. So that's what I believe.
Thank you. Janet.
Oh, absolutely, you're right. And that's one of the things that our referral platform really shines, because you need to find a well-qualified colleague in the destination market where your client wants to go. And if you've done your life networking at places like this and you've got your enormous Rolodex and list of content, maybe you know someone in that market if you can remember where you put their business card and you can get in touch. But if you don't and you need to find someone in a destination market, you need a centralized, orderly place. Ours operates in 19 languages, where you can find a colleague in that destination market. You can see their expertise, you can see their qualifications, you can see their star rating or the opinions of referral partners they have worked with before, their brand, if that's important to you. You can chat internally within the platform and the tools and make that connection even across borders, across languages, across all the things that keep people apart. We focus on bringing them together so that they can make that connection and they can select the right referral partner to introduce and entrust their client relationship to, with a reasonable belief that that's going to go the way that they would do it if they were on the ground in that destination market. And I think that's one of the reasons that the platform has worked so well. We operate it for Sotheby's International worldwide. We've operated it for them for more than 15 years. And you'll know from their own marketing and positioning that referrals are one of their main claims to business fame. And this is the platform that has facilitated that for them. When we came to them, they operated with a fax machine and a very, very cluttered desk in a back room. And so you can see that when these tools are placed into the wild and people understand their power and learn how to use them, and you get the critical mass of participants in place so that you don't need to search everywhere to find this connection and this facility, then, then it really comes together and it really starts to work.
What was the toughest language you had to deal with?
Well, they're all difficult for me. And that was one of the reasons that I was so interested in languages. I had to learn Polish, and that was the maximum that I will ever extend to. But, when we had to do the right to left languages, and so we accommodate Arabic and Hebrew in the right to left, we pick up listings data and agent and office data every day from about 86 countries in 21 languages, regardless of the format it originates in, regardless of the language it originates in. And so, our lives are complex, but I think that that's part of the magic that we need to weave right now so that everyone can find their way in the world.
Thank you. Christian?
Yeah, I believe, as you say, at the end, transaction, data, everything make easier, but then there is a personal relation. I always say, every time I go to global mission or whatever, first of all, I believe agent need to be prepared, change the mindset, okay? Because every country is a different way to do the business, Maybe in certain countries you are more aggressive, but that's not the right way, or the opposite. So I believe that, it's really a switch that we need to do mentally if we want to go, okay? The same system, the same business we do in one way in one country cannot be done in another country. And we see even from the data, that we share with the Real Estate Association in the US about foreign national, the market is switching constantly. And I believe you need to adapt to the culture, the way you market, the way you talk to them. The communication need to be changed. You cannot just copy and paste and use the same format all over the world. I mean, I'm from Italy. Already from north to south of Italy is different, Think about Scandinavia or Italy. I mean, it's so fragmented, or Latin America, Brazil and Colombia, So I believe it's a mindset of the agent when they want to go global, really to change and trying to understand the culture and the problem and why those people are interested in investing in the US. Everyone has a different reason. Some they do for diversification, currency, some for political situation. So it's very important, even your pitch, when you go on those countries, understand what is the trigger event to get the deal done, and work around the culture and to make it happen, not only with the client, but even with the local agent.
Thank you. We have about 4 minutes. Each one of you have 1 minute if you have a closing comment, anything that you want to say.
Go ahead. I've been going
Sure.
first.
I would just say that every single real estate professional, every single agent is actually a global agent in future. What's happening right now in the world that connects and the world is constantly changing, we all are global practitioners in a way, because the systems that are going to be in place going to give us and enable to transact globally.
Thank you.
I would say it's going to echo what you were talking about before. Every country is extremely different in how real estate is done, and specifically talking about Italy and talking about our country leader here, Dennis, the collaboration isn't necessarily there. So for me, with the MLS standards, I'm trying to work through how do we get the collaboration in the countries, because if we don't have the agents on board, we're not going to be anywhere, and those are the people that matter. So that's my focus from all of this, and what I'm trying to take back after these 2 days. Like, how do we utilize that, and how do we get it to the agents, and how do we make it of value to the agents and to their clients?
Thank you. Janet?
Well, I think what I've come to notice in my years of living in a number of countries and working across these borders and countries as well, no matter who you are or where you are, to most of the world around you, you're going to be a foreigner. And I think that that's really important to remember. You know, this is not a label that we can apply to others, but we wear it ourselves, depending on who's taking a look. But the one thing that does unite us all, I find it to be the most universal human value, is that at the end of the day, everybody wants to go home.
Christian, any closing comments?
Yeah, they say what I want to say, but yes, I agree. I mean, personally, I believe global and more we need to, you know, I believe what Reza is doing and everyone over the panel I listened on those days, everyone has different problem in his own country. We have just to find a way to, you know, standardize, not only technologically, but even a kind of ethically in certain countries needed. There are no clear rules. And this for sure, there is, I believe, a huge things to develop. And I believe all the people in this room that are here is because we really want to reach that where, you know, there is a better way to deal on a global scales with a shared technology and shared data that will help all of us succeed on our industry.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of valuable information. I hope our audience here were able to take something out of our panel, and I'm looking forward. We came from Paris last year, about 50 people. Now we have over 200 people attended as of yesterday and today. And I want to call everyone to meet us at the gala tonight. You're going to have a lot of fun. So I'll see you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.